All right, we are live. We are here. We're dialing in on something really special. And so welcome. Welcome to the Book of Shadows YouTube channel. I want to apologize first for if you hear the noise of cars going by. I live right next to a busy street. So that's unfortunate, but whatever. It's just ambience at this point. So today's video is going to be about unlocking the keys to yourself, unlocking the keys to this existence. And the first step in doing that is understanding who you truly are, because in this world we don't really have a full understanding of our real essence or identity. And this essence or identity is spirit, is our spiritual nature that some people, most people don't even know that they have a spirit, that they have this thing that extends beyond the physical plane. And so this is what we're looking at in this first image, because this is a very, very old image, but it represents man or woman. I mean, in this case it's a man, because again this was like late medieval period that this image comes from, but it represents our strive or our struggle to ascend beyond this physical existence and into something metaphysical. We're going to talk a little bit about metaphysics and what that means and why that's important, but a lot of people don't know that there does exist a realm beyond the physical world, beyond this physical body that we're in and this incarnation. So that's the first step in unlocking the keys to this whole existence, and to make this all make sense, because seen through the physical eyes in the physical world, I mean, there's 8 billion humans on Earth. So there's almost like 8 billion versions of you or copies of you. So there's a lot of confusion, right? So if you want to get a greater degree of understanding, you have to start trying to tap into the metaphysical awareness. And that is where your spirit is. Your spirit exists outside of the physical realm. So then the question kind of becomes, if I have a spirit, and if I do have this, if I have an essence or, a soul or this energy that is beyond anything in this world, then how do I contact it? How do I come to contact with my spirit? How do I have this experience of transcendence and enlightenment that all these, a lot of different schools and religions are all sort of oriented around? And that's the thing, is when you come to this degree of awareness, then all these religions and schools of thought and philosophy, they all kind of fall by the wayside, because you're like, okay, I get what they were pointing me at. I get what they were trying to show me, and now I've found it. And so this is something I mentioned in the intro video, is that in truth, there is nothing above or beyond you when you understand yourself as a spiritual being. And getting into contact with the spiritual reality is an incredible experience, and it shakes up your whole world. It changes the way you see everything, the way you you'll never look at things the same, once you start to actually see the truth. And so how do I get to this point, right? How do I go beyond? How do I transcend? And I've written a lot about this, this is something I say time and time again, is you have to learn how to meditate. You have to learn how to sit, how to simply be. And it's sort of just like you're dialing out you're almost removing yourself from everything in physicality, and you're becoming the essence and the energy that overlays the physical world, that overlays the earth, and this is why spiritual awareness is really powerful, because again, you'll never see things the same because you've gone beyond what you thought possible, and you realize that there is another realm of existence, and in this realm anything is possible. It's like your dreams, right? Anything can happen in your dream. You could turn the whole world upside down, and you could lift up skyscrapers or do whatever, but in this physical existence, there's rules, there's regulations, there's limitations. So the human being, if we understand ourselves as spiritual beings, we are like bridges, and we are tethered somewhere in between those two worlds, of one being absolutely free and limitless and expansive, but also being mortal, right? Having time hanging over our heads, having the knowledge of, we're gonna die. And that's what I feel like is the next sort of key to unlocking this existence, is the knowledge of death. And no one wants to talk about that. No one really wants to acknowledge that they're gonna die. But having that knowledge and having that awareness of how the physical existence that we're in is temporary, that unlocks the door to an existence that is eternal and that is beyond this physical incarnation. And the weird thing is, the more and more you understand death and come to terms with death and look at the reality of death in the face, the more and more life you have. Death is life's greatest teacher, and it's not the enemy. I really believe that. I don't think death is something to be afraid of. And that's, again, scary. No one really wants to think about that. No one wants to acknowledge that. But, I mean, you have to look at life square in the face. And living, being born, implies dying. So unless you come to terms with that, then you're not fully alive. And I think this is one of the biggest problems or crises of human existence, is that we don't acknowledge death. And furthermore, getting a greater degree of understanding of death is getting a greater degree and understanding of this earth, of nature, because that's an intrinsic part of the natural cycle. And everything in this natural world, on this earth, is in a process of dying. Even the most beautiful, oldest, majestic trees that have been around for hundreds and hundreds of years, one day will die, you know? And that's a sad thought, I suppose, but we can't exclude ourselves from that. That's very arrogant of humans to go through our lives and see ourselves as something separate from nature. You know? So yeah, death is it's humbling, but it's enlightening in that way of it's surrender. You know, that's what it is. It's surrendering to who we truly are. And I think the problem of this modern day existence is that we live, and I've written about this on the website, is that we live lives that are separate from nature, you know? And we've built this whole world, we've built this whole illusion where a lot of things aren't taken into account. And so part of the reason that I wanted to make these videos and to tell this story is to account for everything. And it's like, yeah, you can know everything when you know who you truly are at a spiritual level. And so this is the next key, is because you think about your existence, your life, and you wonder, you might say, well, how did I get here? And how did this all happen? And, you know, at a physical level, we look to our parents and our ancestors, and there's certainly a story there, and that's certainly an intrinsic part of who we are, is our lineage and our ancestry, our DNA. And that will tell you a story and help you understand who you are, why you're here, in this physical body. Like, why are you you? But again, on another level, the truth is, this existence, this reality, this world, was created by you, by spirit. It and it's happening right now, you know. Creation is happening right now, and you can't let that slip through your fingertips. You know, you can't let life slip through your hands, or you can't hand it over to someone else and say, well, you figure it out, you know, because I didn't. You know, I didn't solve this puzzle. I didn't figure out the key to my existence and what happens when I die. I mean, how many people really know what happens when you die? Very few. But it's like going to happen to all of us. So, I mean, shouldn't we kind of figure that out? Shouldn't that be pretty important to... Shouldn't that be just the number one question? I mean, spiritually, to me, it is. Like, there's nothing more important than knowing what's going to happen when I die. And I mean, that sort of started me on the journey. And a lot of people, I think, in religion especially, it's this fear around death that brings us to religion to get saved, because we're worried about going to hell. You know, we're worried about eternal punishment and hellfire, and I can guarantee you can write that off as a possibility. Hell exists here. Hell is a reality on earth that we experience, that some people experience daily, that we've all experienced. What is hell? It's suffering, it's struggle. So we all find ourselves in hell. Like, I don't know. So if I can find a way out of that in this lifetime, then I don't need to worry about anything. 'Cause like I said, death is promised. And we're all going to leave here. And there's only one thing we're taking with us. And that's our soul. That's our heart, our essence. And how have we nourished that essence? How have we enriched that essence of who we are? And if we've done that, and if we've done our best to try and do that, then I don't really think we have much to worry about. But make no mistake, I think there's people in the world who really, they've got a lot to worry about when it comes to the beyond. And this brings me to the next key of understanding, because the reality we exist in, it's mental. It's a mental projection. We are projecting this existence outwardly from our own minds and hearts. And make no mistake, one of the reasons it's so hard for people, one of the reasons why this life hurts so much, why it's such a struggle, is because there's been a corruption of the mind, a corruption of the earth, a corruption of our own mother. Things have gone on that have really hurt her, that have destroyed her, desecrated. Wisdom has been lost. Knowledge has been lost. And there are those who are seeking for it. There are those who are struggling for it, to reclaim it. But unfortunately, these types of people are often outcast, seen as freaks, shamed by society. But we can't deny the existence of corruption and evil in the world. And ultimately, the blame for this is on mankind, mostly the world of men and the traditions of man that have been passed down and perpetuated through millennia. Because these traditions are what has corrupted the earth. Because our minds are the earth. There's no difference. Where did this all come from? Where did we get all of this? This physical body, this brain that we have, this amazing organism that is capable of that, there's nothing in creation, in natural creation, as complex, powerful, and beautiful as the human brain. But the human brain is a product of the earth. Like, that's where we got this thing. And so ultimately, we have to take that awareness of the evil, the corruption, all the bad stuff, and we have to look to ourselves. Have we played a role in that? In ignorance? And yeah, we all have. And we all bear the guilt and the responsibility of that on a spiritual level. But some of us are willing to take the responsibility. And to those people, things start to make a lot more sense. The whole of reality, the whole of this existence becomes crystal clear when you understand that you created it, And if you understand that, then you can have the power and the creative power and potential of creating a better life. And that's what this is all about, right? This is what this project has been about for me. It's not to scare people. It's not to, it's to scare a little bit. You kind of have to be scared a little bit, right? We're scared of dying, right? But we also have to look at some of the stuff that's going on in the world today is scary. Like, this shit is, it is scary, But it doesn't have to be, is what I'm trying to say, is we don't have to take on that kind of energy anymore. It's we can have creative freedom. We can have immunity to the evils or to the corruption. But in order to have that and to do that, you have to be grounded in an awareness of spirit. You have to understand yourself as spirit, as that which transcends physicality. But if you're stuck in physicality, then you won't unlock the keys. You won't have the keys that unlock the doors of the perception of the higher world that we all come from. And so, coming to terms with the darkness within is the key to finding the light and being the light, understanding yourself as light. Because light is the creative force that we all have, but that is asleep within most of us because we haven't come to the awareness. We haven't looked to ourselves to say, how did this happen? Why am I here? What's the point? Because what's scary to me is in the absence of this knowledge and this awareness of the spiritual world, I find that people are just kind of killing themselves. You know, that's what I see. I see a lot of people destroying themselves. And if you knew who you truly were and what you're really capable of, you wouldn't want to hurt yourself. You know, you wouldn't want to do things that degrade you, that harm you, you know? But we see that as fun. You know, for some reason, we idolize self-sabotage and self-destruction. But again, I think one of the keys to this existence is nourishing yourself. Protecting yourself, valuing yourself enough to say, hey, enough is enough. Like, I'm done killing myself. And so, if you find yourself in a dark place, you just have to know that you're the light. So, start to shine, you know? Bring your heart and your mind into alignment and act accordingly. And these are basically the first steps in getting into a spiritual awareness, is first understanding that that you have a spirit, that you have an essence and an existence that is beyond the physical. The second is to learn how to cultivate and to contact that essence and energy, which is through meditation, through self-reflection. The third step is to acknowledge the existence that we're in now is temporary. The fourth step is to also acknowledge that in this existence that we're in now, the temporary one, the physical world, that there does exist evils, corruption, and to not be blind to those things and how they might affect and influence our lives here on earth. And we'll talk more about how to protect yourself, basically armor yourself, and that's what this channel is for. That's what my website is for. It's to cultivate and grow light. That's what it is, and that's who we are, is the light. But understanding light and what light can do, how light works on the earth, that's something we'll get more into, and I want to talk more about in other videos. So I hope you have a beautiful rest of your day or evening whenever you're listening. Thank you for listening if you did, and yeah, we'll be back soon.